Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. We're coming to you live from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo with headline-making stories from here at home and across the world. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya. Before all that, let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
5 killed in tragic accident in Udamalala Hambantota. Tissa Athanayaka out on bail. Duminda Silva grilled again by the CID. Anuru Kumar Disanayaka questions the future of the government.
Maitripala Mahathya, එක්සත් ජාතික පාක්ෂිකයන්ගේ ජනාධිපති වෙලා රනිල් මහත්තයා ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ගෙන් අගමැති වෙලා. ඕක දිගටම තියෙයිද?
Construction of the port city to continue. $100 million already spent. A Newsfirst exclusive. JVP voices its protest. Instructions to hold off auctioning of gold jewellery pawned at state banks until April.
In your top story this evening, 5 people, including a child, were killed earlier this evening in a collision involving a bus and a 3-wheeler in Hambantota. SSP Ajit Rohana, the police media spokesperson, noted that 2 others who were critically injured in the accident were rushed to the Hambantota hospital. The collision occurred at about 5:40 this evening. The accident occurred at the Deulagamma junction along the Hambantota Katragamma road.
MP Tissa Athanayaka, who was arrested and remanded on the charge of forging documents, was released on bail today. The MP was granted bail when he was produced before the Colombo Fort magistrate.
When MP Tissa Athanayaka was produced before the Colombo Fort magistrate Thirinagamage today, the magistrate informed the police that they had produced insufficient evidence against the MP to justify his continued detention. Accordingly, the magistrate released Athanayaka on 2 sureties of ₹1 million each. The case will be taken up again on the 11th of March.
බරපතල දේශපාලන පරිගැනීමකට මම විතරක් නෙවෙයි විශාල පිරිසක් ලක් වෙමින් තිබෙනවා.
A large number of persons, not only me, have become victims of a serious political vengeance. Any person can make political decisions. These political decisions can be made for a variety of reasons, and the entire country is aware of my political decisions and why I did so. But I must state that this government has been formed in part today because of my service as an MP for about 20 years since 1989 and my service as the General Secretary of the UNP for more than 8 years during some of the most trying times facing the party. If not for this, the UNP would have been fractured into small pieces and it would have been discarded. At a time when Ranil Wickremesinghe was to be removed from the party leadership, I protected him. I wish to inform the party that I am a UNPer. Even if I am evicted from the UNP, I am still a UNPer. I will fight for this. As a member of the UNP, even if they decide to evict me from the UNP, as a UNPer, I will continue to fight for those in the UNP.
The police media spokesperson says that the CID questioned parliamentarian Duminda Silva for close to 6 hours once again today. He said that the MP was called to the CID and interrogated by officers from the department.
MP Duminda Silva returned to the CID for the second day today at 11 a.m. The CID had interrogated the MP once again today over revelations made by drug baron Vele Sudha, who is currently in police custody. The police media spokesperson said that Duminda Silva was called to the CID again today since they were unable to complete recording his statement yesterday. Furthermore, he noted that investigators are following up on the revelations that have been made in connection with crimes under the Money Laundering Act and the Poisons, Opium and Dangerous Drugs Ordinance. Furthermore, he noted that investigators are following up on revelations that have been made in connection with crimes under the Money Laundering Act and the Poisons, Opium and Dangerous Drugs Ordinance. He added that the CID is hoping to complete its investigation soon and enforce the law against the responsible parties.
Former Deputy Minister Sarana Gunawardena was released on bail today on the orders of Colombo Chief Magistrate Giham Pilapitiya. The former Deputy Minister was released on a cash bail of ₹150,000 and a surety of ₹60 million.
Former Deputy Minister Sarana Gunawardena was produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrate today. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has filed 3 cases against the former Deputy Minister on 107 charges. These cases were filed against him over a 36 million rupee fraud while he was the chairman of the National Lotteries Board. The magistrate also ordered that the passport of Sarana Gunawardena be revoked and for the Deputy Minister to be present in court on the 18th of May. Meanwhile, former Senior Minister Athawuda Senaviratne today agreed to pay for the damages for causing harm to a private drinking water project in Kombadeniya, Warakapola. This agreement was reached when the case was taken up at the Warakapola magistrate today. Attorney at law Amal Randeniya, who appeared on behalf of the aggrieved party, noted that both parties had agreed to come to a settlement. Former Senior Minister Athawuda Senaviratne has agreed to pay a sum of 800,000 rupees to the aggrieved party for the damages that were caused.
The petition filed by Shashindra Rajapaksa, the former Chief Minister of the Ua province, against the swearing-in of Harin Fernando as the Chief Minister was taken up at the Court of Appeal today. The Governor of the Ua province, members of the Provincial Council and the secretaries of the parties they belong to have been cited as respondents in this petition.
Shashindra Rajapaksa's petition was taken up today before a 2-judge bench comprising of the President of the Court of Appeal Vijit Malalgoda and Justice H.C.J. Madavala. The petitioner claims that the action of then opposition leader Harin Fernando being appointed the Chief Minister after obtaining affidavits from several ruling party councillors was illegal. Rajapaksa is seeking a writ from the Court of Appeal removing Harin Fernando from the position of Chief Minister. The plaintiff was granted time until the 20th of this month to make submissions.
This was an opportunity given by the people. Only the people have the right to change the Chief Minister of a province. Outside of that, this opportunity is only granted once a year when the Provincial Council's budget is presented. We express our great displeasure that this has happened illegally.
Harin Fernando මහතාට කිසිසේත්ම නීතියානුකූල අයිතියක් හෝ බලයක් හරි
Harin Fernando does not have any power, legal or moral right to function as a Chief Minister. I have filed this petition in order to quash the decision that was taken by the Governor.
Son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Lieutenant Yoshitha Rajapaksa of the Sri Lankan Navy has gone abroad. Journalists posed questions to the Lieutenant's brother, Namal Rajapaksa, at the Colombo Court Complex today.
He has gone overseas on a personal visit with leave approved by the Ministry of Defence. He is not fleeing anywhere. He will return to the country. He has obtained approval from the Ministry of Defence to go overseas for a personal reason under the normal procedure that any ordinary officer would follow. There are allegations being made politically. We will face those allegations. Meanwhile, the JVP says that approving leave for Lieutenant Yoshitha Rajapaksa, who is already under investigation, is wrong. In a letter to the Secretary of Defence, JVP Western Provincial Councillor Nalinda Jayasinghe points out that he had filed complaints against Lieutenant Yoshitha Rajapaksa on 13 different facts. The letter also reads that after the allegations were presented to the Secretary of Defence, a 3-member committee of Navy officers was appointed to investigate it. However, Lieutenant Yoshitha Rajapaksa has failed to attend any of these meetings. Jayatissa also questions whether Yoshitha Rajapaksa is being given a privilege not due to other officers because he is the son of the former president.
Convening a media briefing today, Western Provincial Councillor Hirunika Premachandra requested that all people be treated equally before the law. The main reason for my father's murder was that he revealed the drug racket and the involvement of Duminda Silva. My problem is, why has this individual not been arrested as yet, even when all of this has been said? MP Thisathanayaka was arrested recently for the crime of forging documents. In comparison with forged documents, the drug racket and aiding the drug racket is a far graver crime in this country. If any person is arrested, then it is a non-bailable offence. This is a joke. It has become a major question mark for the people. The people of this country did not vote for Maithripala Sirisena hoping only for a reduction in the cost of living. They hope that the thieves will be arrested. What did all of us who spoke openly, including the President, myself, Minister Ranjan Ramanayaka, Rajat Senaratne and Patali Champika Ranavaka say on the campaign stage? They all spoke of the crime, fraud and corruption committed by those around the Rajapaksa family and certain persons in the cabinet. The people voted hoping that all of this would be prevented and that it would be put a stop to. They voted for us thinking that punishment would be meted out for all of this. It has come to a stage where even we cannot get out on the streets anymore. The people question us. We are the politicians at the grassroots level. They question us, saying that they voted with great expectations, and why are these people not being caught now? This is the biggest problem facing all of us. We have no response to give them. Then the people will think that these corrupt racketeers were protected within a corrupt regime, and they are now being protected by a regime ushered in for good governance. So where is the good governance? Even the case pertaining to my father's murder needs to be brought forward, and the witness testimony has to be heard again. A court date must be obtained for this. This person does not become a special individual just because he has a lot of money and a media network. No matter who commits a crime is still a crime. Meanwhile, JHU Chairman Venerable Atureri Ratanathera says that if the government does not take appropriate steps in the next 2 weeks, then steps will be taken to exert pressure.
There is an astounding level of inefficiency in the state mechanism. In addition, since the same government has been in power continuously since 1994, the state mechanism has become extremely politicized. This is the primary problem. I do not think that there are other problems. What I can say is that we are hoping that there will be some change in the next 2 weeks. If this does not happen, we will exert pressure on the government. We will initiate a program to mount public intervention.
Speaking at a meeting in Tihari and Nittambo yesterday, leader of the JVP, Anura Kumara Disanayaka, provided an explanation on the composition of the current government.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ බැලුවොත් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ තියෙන 60යි. 60කුත් නැද්ද කොහෙද? 41යි ඉතියේ.
If you take a look at Parliament, the UNP has 60 seats. I think now they have only 41. Initially there were 42, but after the Sattanayaka switched sides, that figure dropped to 41. So when the polls drew closer, the number could have risen to 60, with Rajitha Senaratne and company joining them. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party has 136 seats in Parliament. However, with 136 MPs, the SLFP is in the opposition, while Ranil Wickremesinghe is the Prime Minister with the support of 60 MPs. Astounding, is it not? Maithripala Sirisena has become the President of the UNPers, while Ranil Wickremesinghe has become the Prime Minister of the SLFPers. Will this last long? No. Will there be problems? Yes, there will be. According to the current situation, this cannot move ahead. We too are trying to steer the 100-day program forward. This is our attempt. Will this continue? It does not need to. This is a government that was formed in an unexpected manner. It is doubtful whether this will operate forever. There is a time for this. During this time, we need to make our interruptions. One is, do we need to abolish the executive presidency? This executive presidency not only ruined the people, it also ruined the individual who became the president.
විදායක ජනාධිපති ධූරයේ ජනතාවට විතරක් නෙවෙයි විනාශය වුනේ. ඒ ජනාධිපති ධූරයට පත් වෙච්ච කෙනාටත් විනාශයක් වෙලා තමයි කෙලවර වෙලා.
Professor Shanika Hiriburegama, the chairperson of the University Grants Commission, has tendered her letter of resignation.
Yes, speaking to Newsfirst earlier tonight, Minister of State for Higher Education, Professor Rajiv Vijayasinghe, confirmed that Professor Hiriburegama had submitted her letter of resignation to President Maithripala Sirisena.
Taking a look at a story that we're following very closely here at Newsfirst. Construction work at the Colombo Port City, or commonly known as the Port City, is continuing unabated. Cabinet Media spokesperson Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, speaking to Newsfirst today, stated that there is no issue with the environmental impact assessment carried out on the project. However, the Janata Vimukti Peramuna has reiterated that it will take all possible steps to ensure the scrapping of the project, which became a major talking point in the run-up to the presidential poll. The Chinese company responsible for the construction of the project, in a Newsfirst exclusive, said that the construction is getting underway as planned.
Construction work on the development project, which is constructed artificially in the ocean area outside the city of Colombo, commenced on the 17th of September last year. An area no lesser than 575 acres stretching from the coast of the Colombo harbour on 233 hectares up to the Golf Race Green is being constructed through land reclamation from the sea. 170 hectares of this area has been identified as that which could be developed, and out of this, 63 hectares has been excluded for public facilities such as waterways, pathways and parks. This also includes luxury hotels, housing schemes, shopping facilities, docks and cycling paths. The project carried out by CHEC Port City Colombo Private Limited is being facilitated at a cost of $1,337 million. Thereby, it has been agreed that the investor shall receive 108 hectares of this land. During the run-up to the recently held presidential election, members of the new government criticized the Port City project.
They are building an island known as the Port City, which will be fully owned by the Chinese. We know that in any country, when you give ownership of an island to the Chinese, they also take ownership of the sea area for 200 miles. That is maritime law. What are they trying to do? They are turning this into a colony.
වෙන්තොට කලුතර අවුල්ගල්ල වික්කඩුව දිගටම වෙරළ නැති වෙනවා කියලා සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයේ දිනෙන කට්ටිය බයෙන් ඉන්නවා. අපේ මෛත්‍රී ජනාධිපති උනායින් පස්සේ සර්ගේ ආණ්ඩුව තුලින් ඒ පෝප් සිටියේ ගොඩ ගැනීම නතර කරනවද නැත්නම් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවද?
නතර කරනවා.
Thank you.
Several days after assuming power on the 21st of January, the government established a committee with cabinet approval to review the project. The committee, chaired by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, also includes ministers Patali Champika Ranawaka, Rajitha Senaratne and Arjuna Ranatunga. Meanwhile, following a visit on the 5th of this month by Chinese Special Envoy and Deputy Foreign Minister Liu Jiangshao, the cabinet spokesperson adopted a different track regarding the Port City project.
The Prime Minister made a point and noted that there was no problem with the EIA or Environment Impact Assessment conducted into the reclamation of land from the sea. He said that we need to do this in a way that does not create a misunderstanding with the Chinese government.
Today, Minister Rajitha Senaratne had this to say on the matter.
Work on the port city has not been stopped. We were waiting for the environment impact assessment and there are no issues with that. So we will continue to discuss the positives and negatives of this project with China and take the appropriate decision accordingly.
What is the status of the Port City project right now?
We commenced the project in last September. Up to now, we completed nearly 10% of the whole project. 10%, nearly $100 million we already brought in this country last year. We are working as yo-yo. There's no any slowdown of the project.
There are very conflicting reports that are regarding the future of this project. Has the Sri Lankan government communicated any of this through to the Chinese government or to this company at all?
No, I think our ambassador have already met the president and the prime minister after election. I think they already expressed concern with the project. Actually, now the major issues they are talking about is the environmental issues. Actually, ACRPA employed the Muratua University, did the EIA long time ago. I don't find any reason why the current government want to stop the project, as I mentioned before. There's no any negative effect of the environment. And also this project definitely will change the nature of Sri Lanka. So there's no reason to stop this project. So this question, I think, doesn't exist. No, after completing the project, we will add 200, maybe 70 hectare new land for Sri Lanka. And we create 83,000 permanent job opportunities for Sri Lankan, and will attract further maybe 13 billion FDI for this country.
Planning is underway to construct this port city on an area of about 500 acres. The Moratuwa University has prepared a report on it, but that is a project report for the reclamation of 300 acres. They cannot use a report for the reclamation of 300 acres to initiate a project that will reclaim 500 acres.
ප්‍රමාණයක ගොඩ කිරීමට ලක් කරන ව්‍යාපෘතියක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් නැහැ.
අපේ රටේ කුඹුරක් ගොඩ කරන්න නීතියක් තියෙනවා. පොඩි මඩ වගුරක් ගොඩ කරන්න නීතියක් තියෙනවා. තමුන්ලාස්ලට කඩ කෑල්ලක් හදාගන්න ඉඩමක් ගොඩ කරන්න ඕන වුණොත් නීතියක් තියෙනවා.
There is a law in our country to reclaim paddyland or to reclaim a tiny swamp. If you want to reclaim some land to build a shop, then there is a law which applies. However, there is no law governing the reclamation of the land from the sea. There needs to be an environmental assessment into the damage that will be caused. According to what we know, there is no environmental assessment. The agreement was sent to the Attorney General in one day. It was signed the next day. It was put to Cabinet and approved on the same day. The Port City project was initiated as per the wishes of Rajapaksa and the Rajapaksa cartel. It is an adverse project whether you consider it financially, environmentally or even in terms of international politics. When he was the opposition leader, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said in Parliament, and it was recorded in the Hansard, that he would stop the Port City project when he comes into power. That has not happened today, but that is a separate matter. Rajapaksa was following a destructive economic policy. We do not know if they will be able to stop the Port City project or not, but we give you the guarantee that as a party, we will take every step possible and exert as much pressure to stop this project.
Well, as you can see behind me, construction on the Port City project is obviously still underway, amid conflicting reports that have emerged regarding the future of this project. Now, incidentally, this project marks China's biggest investment outside its territory. Amid mounting pressure from environmentalists and influence groups, will the current government forge ahead with the Port City project? Well, only time will tell. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shahin Jurangpati.
The new Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption and a new Court of Appeal Justice received their appointments from President Maithripala Sirisena today.
High Court Judge Hema Kumudini Wickremesinghe was sworn in as a Justice of the Court of Appeal in the presence of President Maithripala Sirisena. Dilrukshidayas Wickremesinghe was appointed as the Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption by President Maithripala Sirisena. She received her letter of appointment from the President at the Presidential Secretariat today. In business news tonight, Minister of Finance Ravi Karnanayake says that the state banks have been informed to hold off the auctioning of pawn jewellery until April this year. He adds that this measure was taken so that the interest that is charged on jewellery pawned at state banks is waived as proposed by the interim budget.
The interim budget proposed that the interest payments on pawned jewellery to a value not exceeding 200,000 rupees held at state banks will be waived. Questions were posed to the Minister of Finance at a press conference today as to why this relief is not being provided by the state banks.
This will begin from the 1st of April. We have informed them not to auction any of the pawn jewellery. We are providing relief to the people who are helpless.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Rajitha Senaratne has rejected the resolution passed by the Northern Provincial Council yesterday, which claims that a genocide took place in the north of the country.
When this resolution was brought forward once before, the Provincial Council rejected it. The current Chief Minister himself removed this word from that resolution. There is no reason to include what was removed then, today. There was no genocide. In the final phase, it was the LTTE that used the people in these areas, the Tamil people, as a human shield. It is because they used people as a human shield that a large number of people were killed. If there was a genocide then, the responsibility lies with the LTTE and not with the government forces. So we reject this talk of genocide. We know that no government will accept this. They will always state their stance. We have no problems with the stance of the government. We have intervened with the hope of securing international intervention. If justice is being served through an internal process, then there is no reason for us to seek international intervention.
I believe that the political leaders who represent the Tamil people in the north have been pushed into this position. Tamil people do not only live in the north. There are Tamil people who live in the central hills too. However, since the majority live in the northern province, more attention has been focused there. These people gave the votes that were hoped for to change the government, but now great disappointment has arisen there. I believe that this situation is portrayed through Vigneshwaran's statement or the resolution that has been made. They cannot be blamed for it.
You're watching Primetime News live on Newsfirst. Up next is Action TV.
On the 27th of July 2013, Action TV carried an exposé on how a plot of land which had been used by this woman and her husband under an annual permit from the state and then passed on to her following her husband's death was being bulldozed by a group including the principal of DS Senanayake College, Ampara. The bulldozering took place against a backdrop where the divisional secretary had put up a notice preventing this woman and her children from entering this plot of land. The divisional secretary had put up this notice notwithstanding the fact that the land commissioner had charged taxes from this woman, enabling her to use the land until 2016. The same divisional secretary also granted permission for the State Timber Corporation to cut down trees on this land, in spite of the fact that the land had not been properly acquired by the state. While the law was not enforced when the group, including the principal of DS Senanayake College, Ampara, trespassed on this land and bulldozed it, shortly afterwards, the divisional secretary headed to court to legally acquisition the land for the state. The court quashed his petition, noting that the divisional secretary had failed to prove that the land belongs to the state. As a result of the divisional secretary returning to court, an order was issued to acquisition 30 perches of this land for the state. The land was acquisitioned in a manner which takes away 10 perches each from the 3 plots being used by this woman and her 2 daughters. The court order was enforced yesterday. The acquisitioning was conducted under the supervision of a fiscal officer in a manner that proves that the fiscal officer had powers that go beyond the judiciary. This is because no portion of this woman's own land was acquired. Instead of taking over 10 perches each as per the court order, the authorities bulldozed a full 55 perches, including the land on which this woman's daughter was living. The area of the land used by the woman's daughter was 25 perches. As a result of this officer deciding to go beyond the court order and acquisition a full 80 perches instead of 30 perches, 2 families have been left homeless. As a result of this officer deciding to go beyond the court order and acquisition of full 80 perches instead of 30, 2 families have been left homeless. 2 fiscal officers have a mandate to act beyond the instructions of court and become oppressors of the people. Minister of Justice, over to you.
Now, on a lighter note, the 170th Newsfirst Classroom Leadership and Communication Workshop was held at the Madhavala Mahavidyalaya in Dimbulagala, Polonnaruwa today. The Newsfirst team was accorded a warm welcome upon their arrival at the school today and were praised by the principal at the event held prior to the workshop for visiting this rural area to impart their knowledge on the children. Employing practical activities in addition to explaining theoretical concepts, the resource personnel gave the children an understanding of mass communication and the use of new media. Students were also educated on television news reporting. Students who participated in this workshop also showcased their own skills and talents. Newsfirst was presented with a memento in appreciation of the service rendered.
Many villagers in Madhavachia took part in a demonstration urging for the construction of an electric fence to combat the human-elephant conflict.
The demonstrators arrived at the Madhavachia Divisional Secretariat in a march and took part in the demonstration.
The development projects have been halted within the 100-day program. We ask who will be held responsible for a loss of life within these 100 days. Is it the minister or the president?
People have been provided with guns by the government as a precaution for the human-elephant conflict. There are over 1,000 guns in Medavachia. Every night, at least 800 of these guns are fired at elephants. Our correspondent said that the group dispersed after a letter was presented to the divisional secretary.
Well, alarming and disappointing news for Sri Lanka in the cricketing arena. Underdog Zimbabwe dealt a severe blow to Sri Lanka's World Club preparations today, recording a comprehensive 7-wicket victory in their warm-up match play today. Meanwhile, Australia, New Zealand and Pakistan came out with victories from the other warm-up matches that were also held today.
Winning the toss and electing to bat first in Lincoln today, Sri Lanka posted a total of 279 runs for the loss of 8 wickets. Tilakaranta Dilshan sat out today's match with Lahiru Thirimana and Kumar Sangakkara opening the batting. Sangha failed to get much traction today and was dismissed for 8 runs, while Thirimana went on to make 30. Mala Jayawardena too was dismissed for 30, while Dimut Karunaratne and Jeevan Mendes top scored for Sri Lanka with 58 and 51 respectively. Spinner Sean Williams was the pick of the bowlers for Zimbabwe with figures of 3 for 35 in 10 overs. A 117-run century which came off 119 deliveries for Hamilton Mazakadza proved to be Sri Lanka's undoing as they lost the match after 42.3 overs. Mazakadza hit 8 fours and 3 sixes to reach his century. Zimbabwe skipper Brendan Taylor and Sean Williams both recorded half-centuries. This was the first meeting between the two teams in 4 years.
Well, that wraps up news here from the Newsfirst desk for today. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya. Good night.